guys. We're doing another podcast here. Thanks for joining me and my buddy Lamar. We're gonna just kind of shoot the shit here and talk about whatever. So real quick, I don't know if you happened to see it today, but that Michael trailer. Did you see it?
Oh, the Michael Jackson trailer?
Yeah,
Yeah, that looks pretty cool, man.
dude, it
Yeah, I
looks
saw it.
sick, man. I was like, oh shit. Um, yeah, but I wanted to kind of talk a little bit more about some of that stuff we were talking about the other day. First of all, did you see the Chun Li stuff? The
Yeah,
trailer
I
and
saw that. Yeah, I saw Max reaction to it.
so you messing with her or what?
I mean, it's free. She free. Once you get the base game, all Ken, her, and a couple other characters, they're free. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna download it. Matter of fact, the game just had like a 6 gig update. I think day before yesterday. So
And that's like with character stuff, or is it just
characters are like shit. They're like a couple of megs. So I'm pretty sure that must have been the character plus some other fixes they must have been trying to do.
it's
But
crazy that the characters
yeah,
are so little, but yet then
yeah,
like the game data is so much more, like stages, sound,
yeah.
whatever. Um, well, she looks cool. I saw Justin doing some combo videos
I
with
saw that
her.
too. I saw that
Yeah,
too. It's so funny because at first the way when he was messing around, it looked like she was kind of weak. Because he was like, man, because I'm looking at some of her normals, it's like, man, she got some stubby ass normals with her punches. But Chun Li always kind of had that, I guess, but not really because Street Fighter 3 shit, she's like a there's like Chun Li doesn't even play Street Fighter 3. That's why she's supposed to build another game. She's so broken in Street Fighter 3, but in this one, she looks good, bro. So I'm definitely gonna check her
I
out.
wonder if I don't know if you ever saw it. There was a video I saw, and it was one of the sickest videos. They were showing when Ken was announced, or like after his gameplay footage had been out. There was a video that someone had made of all the shout outs or call outs or whatever from previous incarnations that they were trying
Oh,
to
I
like
know
have of
you must
Ken.
be. That must
Yeah.
be that desk video. That got to be desk.
Yeah, and dude, they go
Yeah,
over, they go his stance, and then if he goes into the classic outfit, he's got the different like classic super turbo stance, and all these different like, they would do him like they would have him doing a combo, and then it would switch to like third strike, and he would
yeah,
like continue it on, and you'd be like bing, and like the lightning flash from the background of like um I can't remember if it was Third Strike or Second Impact, and then like how he did the Repa and Super Turbo, and like literally the same exact situation. So I thought that was such a sick video. And I don't know
yeah.
if they've done that kind of, if they went that far with Chun Li, or if it's more just okay. Well, here's this character, and I'm sure there's a few things. Like I think if she gets her own stage, it had her and my and there was something about that there was some old artwork that had the two of them like pushing their chests together for like maybe CVS or something. Um, and so like very similar in the intro, and then the stage seemed like it was kind of like Chun Li's stage. You see the bicycles in the back and
Yeah.
something like that. So I don't know if that's her stage or if it's like a generic stage that kind of is for several characters somewhere in China or somewhere in Japan or something. But yeah, she looks dope though.
Yeah, yeah, it does. It does. He did. Matter of fact, I was looking at it now. Yeah, that's a desk video. He did a Chun Li combo video. When I watched his right after I watched Justin, and I was like, okay, well, the shit that Desk was doing, he must have had more time with the character. Because
Well,
Justin, he
and
had just
Desk is
started
like a
playing.
combo monster. Like that's all
Yeah,
he
yeah,
does. Like
yeah,
I don't think
yeah,
he.
yeah,
You know what? I'm so curious if someone like that has ever like went to tournaments, or if he
yeah.
just purely does like
Execution.
combo exhibition stuff. And
Yeah, yeah, exhibition, yo. It seemed like yeah, I think, which is cool. I like that that's a good niche. Like if you're good at execution and you can pull this shit off, like me, depending on the combos, I can get through a lot of trials. But there's some guys on here, it's like they love to lab. It's like that's
yeah,
all they fucking
yep.
do. And I have no issue with that. I like to lab too, sir. Depending on how much I like the character. But these guys, I mean, they lab every fucking matchup
Uh
and
huh. Yeah.
every frame against every frame per character, and that's a
Yeah.
lot.
It
That's a
is.
lot, bro.
And that's why, like, some of these, you'll see these matches of Menard versus so and so, and if somebody has a little bit more knowledge of, it's like with all these kind of situations, like if Mena has a player in his Brazilian, group, a Kaba that's like a good guile or something. So then
Yeah.
he'll dominate like Knuckle do because he's got such good experience against Guile. Where
Yeah.
like, and same thing. Where then on the other hand, if Knuckle do doesn't have anyone he can practice against that good of a Blanca, then he even like knowing some of the matchup stuff in the lab, like knowing this hit beats this, but still some of it's set up, some of it's like just kind of how much you have experience against that. And so yeah, like all those are factors in like that high level tournament kind of
Oh,
stuff.
yeah. Yeah. It's crazy, man. And another thing, bro, what's up with these kids whooping
Oh yeah,
everybody's ass?
I didn't see button check, but I saw the screen
I
for it.
saw that. Yeah, that dude, that little,
I said
I
he's
mean,
14. But dude,
dude,
I'm telling you, there's a prodigy like every like 10, 15 years. I mean, dude, Sonic Fox was the prodigy. He was
yeah, he
like
was.
10 or 12 or something, 14 when he was on the scene. And then look, you had like kids like Knuckle Doo who were young as hell when they first started playing. Look at how young Justin Long was. Like I was pretty
Yeah,
young when I was playing Marvel 2 still. I mean, I was on the younger side and
you were.
Justin
Yeah,
was like 3 or 4 years younger than me,
yeah,
because he's I think now he's I want to say like mid 30s or maybe he's even 40,
he could be.
and and I'm like 44. So like
Yeah,
he's I think at least 4 or 5 years younger than me, and so
yeah,
it's stuff like this where like man, and then I remember with Marvel 3, there was a prodigy that was on the scene, kind of at the time. What was his name again? And he played like Wolverine and someone, and he was super young. I mean, he was like
hmm.
I want to say 9 or 10. And I remember back in the day, there was someone else that was playing, and like
Not
he
that
was
Noah,
young.
that Noah the
No,
Prodigy, because
no, no. I mean that guy is the same kind of
he,
deal. But there was someone else too.
yeah,
CJ or something. Not CJ Showstopper. There was another. He was a white kid, and he would always
yeah,
come to, and his mom would be there. And he was at the first, like this was Street Fighter 4, and I think he played Fei Long. And dude, he was like 10 or like
he,
whatever, you know.
yeah,
And he just kept getting, and he got better and better, and he was getting. He never, I don't think, won tournaments, but he would be getting in like top 8 and stuff like
yeah,
that. And to be that age, yeah, it was an Asian kid that was playing during Marvel 3, and he would play like Virgil, Wolverine, and someone I can't remember
yeah.
what his name is. Um,
Damn, I can't do that.
and yeah, some of those kids that were, and I feel like it happens every, and then next thing you know, you got your Justin Long who's coming up beating the previous prodigy like a Baye and a John Choi
Yeah,
and a Daigo, and then and then it keeps happening, and then the new
yeah,
prodigy beats Justin, and then that prodigy gets beat by the next prodigy, and
yeah,
it
yeah,
just kind of it keeps happening in any of the games.
yeah,
Somebody is gonna learn the game at a certain age and have access to the right stuff. They're gonna learn it on pad or they're gonna learn it on stick or whatever
yeah,
it is,
yeah,
and just take it and roll with it and be sick, and it keeps
yeah,
happening. Like I don't think anyone should be surprised anymore. Like he's all
yeah.
surprised about this kid being 14 and beating Punk and whatever. It was no
Yeah,
different when Justin
Kakito,
came on the
because
scene with Marvel 2. Like
yeah, they said he won that Evo. He was 15, Justin. They
yeah.
said I was like, that's crazy, So yeah, you're right.
But
Yeah,
he had one
Prodigy.
before that. He had won like whatever the one before that. East Coast like championships or something. And then I played against him at Midwest
Oh
and got
yeah,
dominated, but still played against
yeah.
him. And
See, oh, I wish you could see. That's the thing. You only as good as your competition. If you could have been
I know,
around a
I
dude
know.
like that or
Yeah,
Yipes and just
yeah,
play with them
I know.
guys,
Yeah, and
yeah,
dude, I mean, dude, there were people like, look, I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but I've had tons of people who were like, dude, you would have been as nasty as any of them if you would
yeah,
have had that competition, because the time I
yeah,
devoted to it was, I was for sure the best in Michigan for a number of years, for at
yeah,
least probably a good 2 or 3 years, and
yeah,
Juan, VDO, he would take matches off pretty much any of us, but he also would take a lot of lumps in learning
yeah,
the match, and he was clearly at a disadvantage playing that kind of a team. You know, a brawler kind of close team, and none of the broken shit, Sentinel and Cable and all this stuff. Magneto, with Psylocke and resets and all this stuff, and so
yeah,
his team's pretty fair by comparison, but it also will catch people off guard, and it'll steamroll you if you let it. If you,
You
if
don't know
you
the
let
matchup.
them, and just whatever, you get caught by one thing, and your character's dead, and next thing you know, it's like, oh shit. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean, it's whatever, man. It would have been cool to see. I mean, I started to travel for that reason. Was like,
Yeah.
okay, I need stronger competition, and then of course that leveled me up quite a bit. That I
Yeah,
was
you're
bringing
walking
back.
around like a real life Goku.
Well, and I was
I
bringing
need
back
stronger
tech.
opponents.
I was bringing back tech to Michigan. Now the problem
Hmm.
is that the people in Michigan, Wizards specifically, did not want to. They felt like there was like this samurai honor code that Detroit had for some reason, where half of them thought that like, oh, if you chip out someone, that's cheap, and oh, if you're doing
Oh,
this, it's cheap. They had all these thoughts and about different stuff. So like they basically everybody pushed back on most of that stuff for a good like year or two, and it wasn't until like I was beating a lot of their asses that they finally would like, oh well, I guess that I'll emulate that, and like if he can do that with Cable, they would learn how to do that with Cable. I'm doing whatever with Blackheart, they're doing whatever with Blackheart. Next thing you
yeah.
know, a lot of the arcade, and that leveled me up a bit when some of them finally started to do some of that, but I mean, it was like too little too late by that point. It's like they were already adapting and moving on to the new shit, Spiral Cable Sentinel and Strider Doom and, super high level MSPs. And I was doing all that stuff, but I just didn't have the top level competition for me to get that much better. So like I didn't I didn't have people that were really weaseling out of it to know with Strider Doom that say like, okay, well, when they get out, I should be going for this kind of a mix up to stay on them or whatever. Because the people I was fighting, they would just get dominated by it. They didn't know
Yeah.
what to do, and they were getting killed so bad. It's like, okay, well, I have Cable, and they'd call out their assist, and then boom, the assist dead, and whatever. But it's not until you start fighting against people who know kind of the Cable matchup, what to do to get around his stuff, then you would see people that would dominate a Cable. Like, some people are worried to death about Cable, and other people are like, oh hell yeah, Cable, I'm about to destroy. Like a
Right,
Spiral
right.
can really murder Cable because he can't ever commit to a Hyper Viper beam against her because unless it's
Right
hitting.
against Byron?
Yeah, Spiral because you
Really?
can teleport instantly every time.
Oh,
I
that's
mean,
right.
that's
Yeah,
why
yeah,
that's the whole point of Duck's team was to avoid Cable. His team is really designed to beat other Cables. Like,
yeah.
it's not so much. It's not the greatest team for rushdown teams. I mean, the hardest thing with Team Duck is beating, like MSP or like a good Storm Cap, um, Sentinel Cap. Like that's his hardest. But like if somebody else is playing, let's say Sentinel, Cable, and Commando, they can get destroyed because they can get pinned down and locked down, and especially if Cable comes in with all these levels and he can't really use them because if he goes to try to do a Hyper Viper beam, teleport over and then
Hmm.
he's getting punished. So it's Marvel was always a lot of like counter matchups. Like I mean,
Hmm.
you would play your team and be really good with your team, and some people they just would have one team and that's it. But
Yeah.
a lot of people would have a few teams, so that like if they ran into a situation where like they're playing against a Strider Doom, they may switch their team to something that worked better. To like maybe they wanted to have I don't know, let's say Cyclops, because he would go through Doom's rocks, and
Oh,
so
okay.
it would make it so that Strider couldn't just get free chip damage on you, and you're just sitting there taking it. Cyclops could come out and then kind of disrupt things. So,
I
but
never
anyway,
knew
I
that.
mean,
I never paid attention to that.
yeah, I mean
That
that's why
Cyclops could
people
interrupt
play
Doom's rock.
different, and then
Okay.
Rocks beats
Hmm.
Captain Commando. Like Captain Commando has startup on his corridor, so unless he's a little further away, he gets stuck because he comes out and then pounds the ground. So when he comes out, he gets hit by Doom's rocks if you call him out like point blank, where like
Okay.
Cyclops will go through, Ken will go through, Cammy sometimes will go through. She only gets like one hit of invincibility, so it's kind of weird. Like she's
Hmm.
invincible until she hits. So like if
Yeah.
the person is way up in the air, she'll come out and be invincible till she hits the, but then she bounces off. Once she bounces, then she can get hit. So like, there's just a lot of situational stuff to like to know about all that. But
Hmm.
anyway, that's a whole other thing. But yeah, like
Yeah.
I mean, my whole point is these prodigies, they just keep coming up, and it's just the way of the world, you know. There's always the
Yeah.
next one who's, you know, oh shit, there'll never be another Jordan, and there probably won't be.
Yeah.
But then you get your Kobe, and then you get your LeBron, and then you get
Right.
your,
Right.
you know, Steph,
Steph Curry.
yeah, Steph Curry, and you know, you get all these different ones who are like, oh my God, maybe he's the greatest. Oh shit, he's
Right. Right.
ridiculous, you know, and
Hmm.
whatever it is.
Yeah.
So, well, and I wanted to talk to you about, you know, some of the stuff we touched on last time, but man, I really, really hope that Dragon Ball Super comes back. Because I'm just thinking at this
Oh,
point, they're just waiting too long. I really don't know why the hell they would let a property like that, which is like a marketing, um, you know, all the stuff that's derived from that show, like that is sold on toy store shelves, anything to do with Dragon Ball Z, characters, you know, licensing in general. Why would you let that just sit with nothing happening with it for that long? I mean, okay,
yeah.
the manga is still being made, or you know, they did 2 or 3 arcs, but why would you not? Because the anime being on TV is what takes the merchandising, in my opinion, to the next level. People see it animated on TV, the bright color palette, and people are buying wall scrolls, and people are, you know, buying action figures and hot toys and all this different stuff. I mean, look what happened to the scene when the tournament arc and Ultra Instinct.
Oh man.
I
Yeah.
mean, dude,
Yeah.
it was all of a sudden, it's like, dude, there was a billion, you know, artwork of, you know, all these fan things again of like, oh shit, Ultra Instinct Goku versus Superman, and who would
Yeah.
win, and you know, it's like because it just reset everything to such a level um, that no one had ever like kind of dreamt of, and even in the Dragon Ball world, you know, it's like, holy
Yeah.
wait, we're up there with gods now, like holy crap. I mean, even though
Yeah.
Super Saiyan God was already a thing, but UI Goku was like night and day compared to Super Saiyan God. You know, I mean, it was like, holy shit, like this isn't even
Right.
fair. Like, um, and so
I
that's,
think.
I
Well,
just
go
don't
ahead.
get
And
it.
yeah. It's to me. I think they doing an old philosophy, which I understand. You know that old saying, "Separation makes the heart grow fonder,"
Yeah,
meaning that if you don't, give you a chance to miss it, they don't want to
yeah,
bombard you with it, and then you get tired of it. So I
I
can
guess.
understand that. I mean, because you think about Dragon Ball has been around. Dragon Ball is almost as old as us.
Yeah,
As
yeah.
a whole.
Oh yeah,
And they have to ebb and flow with the series. Like, okay, we bump, get you caught up, and then we have to kind of, fall back. And then I guess doing the manga gives people time to miss the actual series. Because think about it. Personally, I don't think I would be tired of it, but it would be people complaining, oh, I have Dragon Ball fatigue. Oh, I'm so sick of Dragon Ball. Man, why
you
don't
know,
these
here's
guys take a break?
I'm gonna say one other thing, and I don't know if there's any truth to this. This is
Yeah.
just I'm guessing.
Hmm.
So you know how the Dragon Ball, the Broly movie, right, and
Yeah.
the Gohan, the Beast, the Cell,
Oh,
whatever,
yeah, yeah.
which
Beast
I
Gohan.
didn't really love the Cell thing, him coming back and
No.
him being like a weird version of Cell, like he wasn't talking and had the dialogue of Cell. He was just this like almost like brain dead, like almost crazier than Brawly like
Yeah.
version of Cell that was like, oh shit, he's just whatever.
Yeah.
The
That
thing
was hurt.
but did you notice like both of those movies have leaned into 3D animation along
Yeah,
with
I noticed
okay,
that.
so
Yeah.
here's the thing, here's my thought. I think the strain on animators putting out a show like that, even though there's shows like One Piece and whatever that still do it, maybe I haven't watched enough One Piece to know how their fights go. I've seen
Same
Naruto.
here.
Naruto does tons. I'll tell you the reason I stopped watching Naruto. Every episode is recapping 2 episodes ago. Like they're talking about, oh, remember when you said this? And they're showing like a recap. Little. I mean, it might only be a 4 or 5 second recap, but they're like remembering back when someone so did this or someone so gave me a look like this, and I'm like, why are they recapping something that happened like 2 episodes ago? Like, and like, I mean, multiple times in an episode. And I was like, what is this? Like, I've
Mhm.
never seen a show do this. And it just made
Yeah.
it so one episode was only moving forward 5 or 10 minutes of a
Huh.
20-minute episode because the rest is like recap glimpses back 2 or 3 episodes, and oh, remember this, and oh, remember we fought last year, and oh yeah, and oh, whatever. And I was like, I mean, it's like the DBZ thing of stand there and talk for 10 minutes, and
Oh yeah.
antagonize your foe and power up for another 5 minutes, and then this explosion's going to be in 8 minutes, but that takes
Right.
30 episodes and whatever. Time is totally, all over the place in DBZ. I mean, the fact that the tournament, the multiverse tournament or whatever, is supposed to be, wasn't there a time frame? Like, I think it was supposed to
It
be
was
30
like an
minutes.
hour or some
Yeah,
shit.
it was something like that,
And
like
then
an
they
hour,
stretched
30
like
minutes.
3 weeks of episodes.
Yeah, and it was like 40 episodes, and
You're right,
you know
right.
they were trying to say that like some of it was happening at the same time. Like someone did an edit of the entire tournament in real time with
Oh,
different
really?
scenes that were happening simultaneously. Like, oh, Goku's fighting Kefla, but at the same time Gohan was fighting whatever, and so these different
Okay.
scenes for it to all work with that time frame that like stuff was happening at the same time, but we're only seeing it from one
From one
character's
perspective.
perspective. So it seemed
Uh,
like there's that much more. Anyway, my thought is maybe the demand. We all saw that there were episodes that definitely were lackluster in animation of some of the recap. You remember how they recapped the movies in
yeah.
Super, and they did it
Hmm.
like
Yeah.
with
Yeah, they
half
did the
the
whole, yeah,
yes,
I know what
but
you're
they
talking
did
about.
it with
Yeah.
like half the budget, and it looked like
Yeah.
shit. And
Yeah, they
so
did.
the whole thing is maybe they're trying to, change the technology, and they're trying to figure out a way with 3D animation how to put out a TV show every week, a new episode, have the animation look good and consistent,
Yeah.
and have it be less demand on animators and whatever. And that's the only
Yeah.
thing I can think of is that like maybe
That
they're
makes
doing
sense.
something like that, and that's why they're exploring an experimental kind of next step, a hybridization of 3D animation along with animation, and trying to figure out some way to do it so it's a little easier and less demanding on. Because I mean, from stuff I was hearing from behind the scenes stuff is like, dude, they were running the team ragged trying to get these episodes drawn, and especially ones that would have very high level of animation where like I mean, dude, the ones like as soon as he became Ultra Instinct, it's like the quality of animation was so ridiculous. Those fights between Goku and Jiren, and I mean the pacing was so fast. Everything looked like movie quality level animation. Like it looked ridiculous. And
Yeah.
obviously, if you're doing a TV show with that level of animation, it's like, well, that's got to be costing a lot, and it's got to be a lot of time,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so it would make sense that they're trying to do
Yeah, I
something.
agree. Yeah, I agree. And that's why I think, with Daima, like we said, say what you want about Daima, the animation I thought was pretty good.
It
Hopefully,
was, and but
yeah.
here's the thing, I think, and correct me if you thought this or not, but I feel like first of all, it's easier to draw kids. So
Hmm.
my thought is this: in an animation process, if you have kids fighting, it's easier to draw kids than adults. You don't have to draw the muscle mass.
Right, that's true. Or
Like
even the just the fucking movement. Like prime example, you just popped the scene in my head when so the fight that Goku had with Vegeta as soon as Vegeta turned into Majin Vegeta, and when they went to the desert and that one sequence where they just going back and forth blocking and countering each other,
yeah,
and it looks so sick. Even to this day, I could pull that up and just be like,
mhm,
wow, this is so sick. And picturing kids fight like that, it just I can't really picture. Not saying that it couldn't be done, but it just looks so sick, and it's like there's so many intricacies in this one little, I want to say 30-second
yeah,
fight clip.
and
You
that's the
know,
thing when you're drawing in DBZ, when your characters are like maxing out. I mean, they're showing so many intricacies of body parts. Every vein, every
yeah,
muscle is bulging, and I mean, you look at like their shoulder, the
yeah,
top of their arm, and it's like broken up into like 18 parts because you can see
yeah.
every
You can see
individual muscle
striation
and
of muscle.
tendon and
Yeah,
whatever is like so overmaxed. Like
yeah,
like Goku's in like Kaioken times a million, and his body's just like on the verge of exploding. And I
right,
mean that's a lot to draw, and to have to draw that multiple times and have it animated and have it be, it's like, dude, I don't even know how an animator does it. I'd be like, oh, first day, like, oh, dude, this is too much. I'm out. Like, even if you
right.
love to draw, I mean, it'd
Yeah,
be like this. Let me think of it like this. Like, you take an amazing artist, like let's say Jim Lee or Alex Ross,
okay.
and you tell them you're no longer going to be doing comic books that are 10 pages or 15 pages. You're going to do a show, and you have to draw the same thing 1,000 times.
Okay.
How much do you think the quality of that artwork is going to suffer because of having to do 80,000 instead of 20? Like when you're doing 20, everything can look like a masterpiece. Like everything's
Yeah.
so intricate, the amount of detail. But dude, you can't do that when you need to have 100 of it or 1,000 of it within a compressed time. So you have to cut corners. So you have to find ways to okay, let's put a blotch of light on the cheek and that'll add depth to their face instead of having all these intricate lines drawn to have a depth, using lighting and stuff to try to make things look more 3D and the lighting and stuff. And there's just no way that you can get the same level of detail out of that.
Right.
So
Right.
I'm thinking that might be, one of the reasons why. Because I mean, dude, there were some really ass-looking episodes of Super, and then it's like anything. And Dragon Ball, I mean, Dragon Ball Z, same way. Like there would be like they would rotate, and me and my friend who were obsessed with the show were like, oh man, this episode's shit animation. Like
Yeah.
it's good. Gohan's fighting Cell, but it looks like shit. And then it's
Yeah.
like, oh shit. And sometimes, usually, they'd have the really good animation be on an episode where they'd have some up closes on their faces or something's going on. But it's
Yeah.
like, oh, don't waste a really good animation episode on like a talking episode where nothing's going
Oh yeah.
on.
Slice of life.
Like
Yeah.
yeah, with a bunch of flashbacks and whatever, and you're like, oh man, like and then you'd pop up and you have like the first real episode that Goku and Cell are fighting, and it's
Yeah.
just looking ridiculous, and it's fast paced,
Yeah.
and they're vanishing, and the
That's
animation's
another
really
example
good.
of great animation. That first Goku Cell fight in the
Yeah,
ring.
oh
Oh
my god, dude, and they're just
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and the
Just
music's
teleporting.
hype, and they're teleporting all around,
Yeah.
and I mean, dude, that's how you get out of the budget. They're
Yeah.
teleporting. They're not even on the fucking screen.
Yeah.
You're not
Right.
drawing
Exactly.
anything.
That does save animation.
Like,
I ain't thought about
it's
that.
just sound effects. And every time you have those fights where it's like the
Yeah.
they're supposed to be hitting each other in the air, and then it's colliding, and you hear the like kind of
Yeah.
earthquake, and you hear 10 of those in the air, and they keep showing, and
Yeah.
you're not seeing anything. You just
Right.
hear the noise, and you see a little flicker in the
Right.
air.
Yeah.
And it's
Hmm.
like, and again, okay, that's 10 seconds of like, so they only had to draw of, way less stuff for when it's really good animation with like, we want to put a lot of detail into these scenes. And reusing stuff, I mean, it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah. They
amateur
definitely.
porn. There'd be like the same scenes used 2 or 3 times in the
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah. They think they were slick. You like, hold on, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's like, dude, we already saw you do this, and then whatever.
Right. Right.
But still, I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
all those are things to think about and to consider as far as why they're doing what and why it's taking so long. But
Yeah.
I'm excited because, dude, I mean, we've been hearing now for all shit, for so long about like Ultra Ego and all this
Yeah.
stuff, and it's like, dude, we still haven't seen it yet. Like,
Ever seen Marrow in action? None of this stuff. Hell, even that Granola character, because he was
yeah,
introduced
all of
like
that,
first. Yeah.
And then we got the Dragon Ball Heroes show, but that was kind of this tease of like what if scenario that really was just to promote that the game. And it was cool that they pulled from all the stuff. They had Ultra Instinct, and they had basically anything that had been done in Super and whatever, and characters from movies and Brawly and all these different Raditz come back and turn Super Saiyan 3, and then and Turles from movie 2, Tree of Might, he comes back and turns Super Saiyan, and and eating the fruit still, and I'm like, dude, you're still eating that garbage ass fruit from 80 years ago? Like, that shit is funky as fuck. Like,
right. Yeah.
but
That's
I
crazy.
don't know, man. No, go ahead.
No, I was just about to say, yeah, like the Dragon Ball Heroes. I mean, I liked it for just they were allowed to just go crazy with the imagination.
But that was the perfect example of something that I had told you before, where like Dragon Ball, there's nowhere to go. Like it's like, okay, they basically have infinite power, and they just keep getting stronger and stronger, and they've kind of backed themselves into a corner where like these characters are, okay, now they're gods. What do you do after that? Like, how do you have a villain come along that's anything but a god now? Like,
okay, go ahead, because I gotta pose a question. Go ahead.
But I mean, I'm just saying, like, when you get to that level of, like power. It's like
It's only
everyone
one
has
way
to
to
be
go. It's only one way to go.
Brawly level or strong. So everyone has to be like universal destroying level because otherwise, it's not like someone can just come up on the streets and, hey Goku, I want to fight you and I'm really strong and oh, I'm just surprising you. Like they would know because they can sense ki and stuff. They would
Yeah.
know that like, oh, someone like that is on Earth unless it's like some really crazy, oh, their power is super dormant and I couldn't
Oh, like
sense
a
it,
old.
or or like an android or something that like we couldn't detect or something, But I don't know. It just
Okay, well, my thing is this. How does the DC universe handle how powerful Superman gets? It gets ridiculous, doesn't it?
yeah.
It
Except
gets really ridiculous. That's what
they
I'm
they
afraid
I
of for
feel
Dragon
like
Ball.
they have I feel like they have ways to um like okay for example, first of all, you have a couple rules put into place. You have Superman's weak to magic. Okay, right there, anyone
Okay.
magic has a chance at temporarily at least, overpowering Superman or maybe making him to succumb to some kind of spell or some kind of whatever.
Yeah.
Um, and then you've got the fact that like there are people in the universe that are supposed to be stronger, like or a dark side, or then they've had this whole thing where they crossed over, other properties like the so you have Mr. What is it, Dr. Manhattan or whatever, and
Oh
that's in
yeah,
the
yeah.
comics now, and like of course Superman can't really do anything to him, and he can
No.
whatever. So there's a few characters, I mean every character in anything, whether it's Marvel or DC, there's always someone like, oh shit, I can't fuck with Galactus, or I can't fuck with,
Right.
the
Right.
Living Tribunal. I mean,
Right.
there's
Yeah.
gonna
Some
be
shit like that.
someone out there that's like a more powerful entity, but maybe not, or more powerful in a different way. It's like
Yeah.
Cap versus Iron Man. It's like, well, on paper, you would think Iron Man has that easy, but
And,
then the fact that like all Cap has to do is take out, maybe his thrusters or whatever,
yeah.
and
That's,
and his shield's vibranium, and I mean, it's like, hey,
yeah. Because even in that Civil War fight, he was kind of fucking Iron Man up.
yeah, for
That
real,
was a
and
good
even
scrap,
without
though.
the
That was a
shield,
good scrap. Even without it, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, because I think, okay, so basically what you're saying is Superman, it's so many different characters in the DC or Marvel universe that they always have somebody that can match up against their most powerful guy, whether it be a good guy
yeah.
versus a villain or vice versa. But with Dragon Ball, you don't think they have enough villains to, because right now, the only people that's more powerful than Goku and Vegeta is probably Zeno. We don't even know right now. Goku and Vegeta could be stronger than Beerus at this point, or equal to Beerus. We know that they're not stronger than Whis. Well, we don't know. We think they're not stronger than Whis. But other than Whis, let's just say Whis, Beerus, and Zeno,
Uh
there
huh.
might be the only three people that I can think of in the Dragon Ball universe that's stronger than Goku and Vegeta. What about? I mean, unless you could think of somebody else.
Um.
Oh, Jiren, let's throw him in there. But he's like, hell, he might become a good guy. He might be a Z fighter. Who knows? But you know how Goku always befriends his enemies.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
so I don't have long to talk. I need to get going here. I'm
oh,
heading over
okay,
to my
okay.
girls, but I'm gonna finish up what I'm saying. Then I need to call her to find out specifically where I need to be here. I'm close. Um. So two of the differences, or a couple of the differences, is that first of all, DC and Marvel have 40, 50 years of
Uh,
multiple
yeah,
series of multiple stories, multiple, whatever. So it's not like there's just one story that's been going on for 40 years. It's multiple stories that each time there's different, like Magneto could be different in one story versus another. One, he could be, ridiculously OP, and another one, another writer writes him a little differently and makes him a little underwhelming so that he's not so ridiculous that like nobody, I mean, like, Magneto in the beginning of X-Men the animated series, it's like, dude, you just can't do anything. Cyclops is blasting him, nobody can touch him with anything, and then later on he's getting killed by one Sentinel, and so it's just like, well, wait, like, so it kind of depends on the interpretation. When you have one super long, ongoing, like almost like a soap opera, that's been going on for 40, 50 years with rules that you've put in place of like power levels and strength and rules, Dragon Balls and how stuff works and whatever.
yeah,
It's hard to just all of a sudden go against what you've already set there. And so it
Right.
has to be believable in a sense that, like, okay, well, where, now that Goku and Vegeta have fought gods, Beerus and Whis, and even still, they're nothing even compared to Whis and the angels. They can't even
Yeah.
touch them. So it's like you're showing that there's still a gap of strength that they haven't acquired yet.
Reached it. Right. Right.
The angels and then Xeno, but it's like, for it to just be, oh well, some other heavenly. It's like they just have to keep going higher and higher and higher and higher and higher. First it was King Kai. Oh my God, you're King Kai, and then it's, oh, you're just one of the Kais of the galaxies. There's
Right.
the
Yeah.
north,
One of
east,
many.
west. There's the
Yeah.
four: the northeast, south, and
Mm,
west. And then there's
yeah.
Grand Kaio, and then there's Dai Kaio and Kaioshin, and the next tier, and the next
Yeah.
tier, and then there's like 30 tiers, and then and now we're finally to like the 18th tier, which is Beerus and the Angels and whatever, and I don't know, man.
I know you're right. It's yeah. It's
I
like
just hate to see, like, I hope they can do it in a way that seems realistic. I mean, I saw a little bit of the manga stuff broken down by like Geekdom or some other channel, and it sounded cool. So I just hope that they, and they don't always follow the manga exactly,
that's true
and
too.
vice versa. Sometimes they'll change a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see how they do it. I want to see Ultra Ego in the show animated,
Yeah.
see how it,
Hell, I want to see Beast Gohan, but because they kind of did us dirty with that. I
I
watched,
know.
yeah, they didn't really let Beast Gohan shine too much. He whooped that cell so quick.
Yeah,
It
he just,
cut it.
again, it's like it's so many of the movies back in the day, like whatever the I would always call it the crutch. There was always some way to beat the enemy, and like, oh, in movie 7, he makes the Genki Dama, the spirit bomb, but he absorbs it into himself as Super
Oh
Saiyan,
yeah.
and then he never does that again in the whole
Right.
show and any other situation. And it's always you have all these one-off, oh, I beat an enemy by doing this, and then you
No,
know,
how about the one when you got Goku Jesus? I think that was I forget which one where the bird died. He like brings the bird back to life
yeah,
and shit.
and they
I was
never
like, what the
once
fuck?
they never once say that, because they have
Yeah,
Dende healing them for their
yeah.
energy. I'm like, wait, he can just heal himself? Like,
Right,
shouldn't he
yeah.
be like regenning? Like, if he gets a
Right.
cut, it's just healing. Like, I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, like, and that was a play on. I think that's why that same bird they used in the Gohan turning Super Saiyan 2. They have that
Oh
bird flying
yeah, the
across a
bird.
dove,
Okay, I
and you
remember
have the
that. Oh,
line going
okay. I didn't
across.
make that
And so,
correlation. Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
Okay.
dude, they love the dove is supposed to symbolize, like, a higher power, or maybe almost in a religious sense, like he's
Yeah.
ascending or something. But,
Hmm.
well, hey, man, I hate to cut it short, but I appreciate the talk, and I'm
Yeah,
gonna call
it's
my
good.
girl. So, but I'll put this up, just have our chat and have another one episode or
Yeah.
third episode, and appreciate you taking the time to
Yeah.
talk
Same.
and
Yeah. No
geek
problem,
out
brother. No
over
problem.
stuff. And yeah,
Hmm.
I'll hit you up. I'll talk to you, tomorrow or on the weekend or something.
Okay, it's cool.
All right, man.
All right.
All
Yep.
right, later.
Later.